Okay, the 3 black wires that I just put in the box are at the bottom. And I've resituated one, so I got one here, and this is for the first switch. Here's for the next switch, these 2 black wires. And here's the fan switch that goes up, and here's the one that comes from the wire nut that we just put in. Okay, so that's how your box should look like right now. 2 black wires at each location, and a ground wire at each location. Okay, we're going to position the black wires. For right now, this was for the fan, so we're just going to get this out of the way. Don't want that in my way. Get this ground wire out of the way. Okay, now I'm going to position these wires. These were the existing wires, so I don't really have a control over the length of them. I'm going to start on this one first. This is the shortest one, and I'm going to first get everything in place before I cut any wires. Okay, I'm not going to cut these second ones just yet. I'm going to kind of move those out. I'm basically going to get that switch out of the way. I'm concentrating on this first switch. So, you know, minimize what you got so you don't think you've got a whole lot in front of you. Right now, all we're worrying about is these 2 black wires. Okay, before I cut my black wires and stuff, I want you to take a look at this. Here's where we're going to install the first black wire. Now, there's a little metal clip here, but there's 2 little inserts here. You can slip, you got to make sure you're on the back side of that. You're going to slip the wire right back into that. Then you're going to tighten up this screw. So if the screw is too tight, you can loosen up this screw. In fact, this one's all the way loose now. And then you want to check, make sure you got enough room to slide it in there. Not in between like that. You see that? That's wrong. You want this metal thing out. Shake this a little bit. Okay, see? You want the metal thing on the outside, that ridge. Okay, so this is just a little piece of wire I got, and I'm taking that as a test. I want to make sure the copper is stripped off far enough, but I don't want it sticking out too far. So this is just about perfect. So I look out there, so now I know how much I want to strip off. The other black wire is going to go down in this one. Okay, so 1 black wire here, and one down in here. Okay. Okay, so we've got this black wire here. This one's pretty short, so I'm going to cut. I can't link. I don't want to lengthen this with another piece or anything. I'm going to utilize that. So I'm going to check my bottom wire, and I'm going to cut the bottom wire about the same length as this. Before I do that, I'm going to see where my ground wire is and see how it's going to push back in the box. This black wire is underneath it, so I'm going to reroute that. So I got the ground wire back underneath there. Now I'm going to see, now I'm pretty much ready. So I'm going to cut this off, strip the wire. Okay, I've got a little sample wire of the one that I want to see how far to strip. So I stripped off some of there, line that up, see about how far. Just check that a little bit. So I'm gonna strip the top one off just a little bit, and we'll be ready to go. Now I'm ready to put these wires underneath here. So I'm just going to position these, you know, bend them about where I want to go, and I'm going to put them under there and tighten them up. This is what it's going to look like. Now, what I did here is there's a slot there for a standard screwdriver, and there's also Phillips. If I do it with the Phillips, I have a tendency to want to use the slot to tighten it up nice and tight. So I'll hold it in my hand and just crank down on it nice and snug with my standard. I always seem to be able to get a little bit tighter the screws with a standard rather than a Phillips. Okay, so this is what your first switch is going to look like. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing with this switch on the next set of wires. Okay, because this wire was kind of short, it's going to be a little bit tricky to push this in. So when I get over to the next set of wires, because the existing wire was a little bit longer, I am going to leave this long so I have a little bit more room to bend the wires and maneuver them down there. So I want to make sure that the tip is straight. If you want, it's plenty long. I can actually cut this off and re-strip it just a little bit. and then I'll line this one up with the same length there before I set it into the switch. Now if you can't get these into the screws, make sure these screws are loose. So what I do is I unscrew them a little bit. They have a definite feel for the back, so normally you can't unscrew it all the way and then have to mess with this. So I just unscrew those just a little bit so I know that I'm ready to go. Okay, now I'm ready to put this in. Put that in there and there. I'm going to tighten that up now.